Good morning, everybody. Nikki Burnett here, Taste Life Nutrition. This is Taste Life Nutrition Radio, streaming live on KUHSdenver.com. Sorry if I'm hitting you. Taste Life Nutrition Radio is here because we bring in amazing people who do amazing things, and I love to share them with you. Melissa is one of those people who I'm like, you do really cool stuff, so we need to talk about it. And really the whole goal is to bring to you truth in health and wellness, because we know that health and wellness is physical, mental, emotional, relational, financial, spiritual. It's all of the things, and all of the things are very important, and we want to try to do our best with those so we can live this big, full, huge, amazing life that we are blessed to be here to live, and then to serve others. And the people who I bring on, that really is their mission, is to serve others and bring goodness. And so, Melissa, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I'm super excited to talk about what she does, because it is a little bit unique. I know of it, but I've not met any practitioners yet, so I'm really excited about this. But before we get started, as always, we start with gratitude. Gratitude can change the world. Gratitude is energetic. It is amazing. It can change our biochemistry, and it can make us. It can just make us better people. And really, we need a lot of that right now. So, wow, excuse me. First things first. What are you grateful for?
I am grateful for all of we talked about 7 generations, and I am grateful for all of my ancestors and all of everyone that has brought life into who has made me today and who is going to bring me forward.
I love that. And so this you're speaking my language, when you're talking about generational health and our influence from our history and our influence moving forward. So let's just go ahead. So what I'm grateful for, because I want to hit on that and make sure that everybody who hasn't heard this before really gets a feel for what we're talking about, because it's awesome sauce, to say the least. But what am I grateful for today? I'm grateful to finally be at the point where we're starting to launch Soulful Conception, because it has been a long time coming. You still have an email that is coming to you, because I haven't gotten any of my emails out yet. That is to kind of explain the goal of it. And what's fun for me is that what Soulful Conception has evolved into, and I guess this is my time to give a little gratitude plug, I don't know, but what we're doing is bringing the best that we can to those, women and couples who are looking to conceive and have healthy body, healthy baby, healthy pregnancy. But it's also has evolved into supporting practitioners and bringing practitioners together in order for us all to help people, these people who are looking to conceive in whatever they need at the time, right? So I have a lot to give, but I can't give everything, and I don't have it all. I'd love to think I do, but I don't. And so there are amazing people like Melissa who have things to share that I don't know, and then I don't know how to give. And so I want to bring together my friend. You have not met her yet, I don't think. Her name is Joanna Lynn. She's been on before. She's super cool. She's the one who talks about 7 generations behind.
Amazing.
Yeah, good stuff. But she has called it, and I have to give her the credit because it was so cool, but a clinic without walls. And it really is letting people decide what it is they need in that point in time, right? And so the more I can share, the more practitioners out there doing cool things that I can share, and the more clients we have come in, all of us, the more people we can help, and the more people, the more babies that we can bring into this world that are healthy, and then that just continues to grow and creates that healthy future that we're looking for. So Soulful Conception is constantly evolving, although it hasn't even launched yet, but it is. And look out for it very soon, because so many cool people are going to be involved in this, and I'm super stoked about it. So that's what I'm grateful for. So, go ahead.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thanks. So, just to start it off real quick before we get into what, all the amazing things that you do, and, why you are and who you are and all of the fun stuff, what we're talking about is epigenetics. Epigenetics is just really quickly, so we have our genome that was mapped out years ago, and then we realized that there are locations on top of genes that have the ability to turn on and off, and that was what creates genetic expression. And so these locations, these variants turn on and off based on lifestyle. It's everything that we do every day. So it's the food we eat and the exercise that we get or don't get. It's the stress that we're under, or our abilities to mitigate that stress. It's trauma, it's mindset, it's the negative self-talk or the positive self-talk. It's the toxicities in the air and the toxic burden that we carry. So all of these things play a role in these genetic variants turning on and off. And so what that does is it puts a lot of accountability on us, which is what we need, right? It's our responsibility to put healthy things in our mouth and healthy things on our body. And what that does is it has the ability to affect 7 generations ahead, but who we are today is impacted by 7 generations behind us. And so a lot of times we have a lot of things to work on, because there are variants that were turned on, a lot of times trauma variants that are turned on that impact us today. And so when we talk about this generational health, it's this amazing, it's not a concept, but this amazing, concept that puts the accountability and empowers us today to create generations of health. And we're in a sort of a shit show right now with all of this stuff going on with our health. So it's time for us to all stand up and say, okay, it's up to me, let's take care of it.
yes.
Okay, so I've been doing a lot of talking. My apologies. I get on my little soapboxes.
Accountability is such a big. There's so much importance in accountability, and even with my practice, we have clients that come in and we want caring and nurturing it, but the most optimal, the largest benefit that I see is the accountability. But they're putting that power in their hands.
Yes.
So and undoing trauma that we carry, trauma that we've had from our family. If it's in our hands to stop that trauma and to now take in lessons that we have to reduce stress and to pass it on to our children, who can then pass it on to the 7.
Yeah. And it's so sometimes it takes taking that step back, I think, and starting to try to understand if there are things that you're dealing with, if there are things that you don't understand, if there are emotions that come up that you don't get, if there are habits and things, whether it's food habits or exercising too much or rage or whatever the case may be, taking that step back and thinking, and asking yourself, what could this be? And maybe I talk a lot about people building their team, which is, again, kind of why I do the show. It's why I, want to do Soulful Conception. I want people to have a team. I want people to know that they have resources, so many resources to go to if they're dealing with these things that they don't understand. I deal with things that I don't understand, and I have to go to my people and say, help me figure this out. And so it is an awareness. It's very much a self-awareness and taking a step back and thinking and saying, what is it that I can do to get beyond whatever it is that's going on? Right?
And it takes a village.
It does. It absolutely does.
you know, the biggest thing is having the best people who are not trying to do everything.
Yeah, exactly, because we can't.
Yeah. and giving them, each of those people in that village, the ability to be experts at healing you in how you need that. So it's, you know, that's the biggest.
Yeah, agreed. So let's dig in a little bit to you. And I always like, however much of your story you want to share, you know, what excites you, what motivates you, what makes you, you know, do what you do today. And then let's dig into what it is that you do, because you do some cool stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My motivation is just healing. It's very simple. Seeing the reduction in stress, and I think that then makes a better world, happier people equals a happier, less stressful world that we live in. My background, I was raised with family. You know, my family. I was raised from family that were practitioners. My grandmother was a lawyer who created a nonprofit that they actually did a movie on that was for focus on healing.
They did a movie on it?
They did a movie on her.
Wow, that's super cool.
And it was called Rethinking Cancer. And it was about, back then, this is back in the 70s, they didn't have they didn't have podcasts. They didn't have any of this. So she would come in with another practitioner, and they would have weekly radio shows, and they didn't have this before internet days. And they would,
so it's just local radio, right?
Local radio.
Yep. But go figure, local radio.
And what was fascinating, people would call in that would have different cancer diagnoses, and she would then have a network of providers to send them to, and they believed in lymphatic drainage, so they would give specific protocols, but within those they would have specialists. So that was one part. My mother was a childbirth activist and poetry therapist and very hippie. I was raised very hippie. My aunt was also a functional doctor who worked with athletes. So my background was healing. And so that kind of set the precedent for me. I did try to go into fashion, but somehow just felt like that yummy space within healing and massage.
Fashion, is that what you said? I love it, because every time I see you, like, she's so fashionable. It's true.
But it's funny, I kind of dabbled in that. I think growing up in New York, like, that was that was just, you kind of, the influence of fashion, and so that was my...
And it's so fun.
And it was fun.
And fashion is just fun. I like clothes.
But I had too much fun in school, and so it didn't really work out.
I know that feeling, yeah.
But then discovered that healing was more of my space. My mother, she was sick, and my father was also sick. I found that I could heal them through massages. So she had a migraine, I would heal her with that. If my father had pain in his muscles, I would be able to help that. And so it became more of a natural calling. I found my aunt's suggestion, found a school that was created, I think it was created by a commune. It was based on, so they taught a modality called Amma therapy, and to get into it, it's very... they taught massage, but then they also taught a Korean lineage-based therapy that was based on acupressure and meridians and more of a mind-body approach to healing. And so that was my focus. So yeah. So those have really influenced me working with moms. I've done work as a doula. I was part of the doula project.
Which is what?
It's actually a doula activist.
Okay.
So for women that might have adoption, or that might actually, if they're late term, like they might need it was actually in partnership with a hospital in New York, and they would provide, and also Spence Chapin Adoption Agency, they would provide doulas to support them.
Okay.
And so I was part of that training. And then I worked as a doula. I was trained by Deborah Pascali-Benaro, who's done training in Bali, and she's written documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a certified prenatal massage therapist and a yoga teacher. So all of that together.
I love that. It's a lot, and so much of it goes so well together. Right?
It all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, it was just kind of working where it felt right. Kind of just falling into intuitively following a direction that all just kind of made sense.
Mm-hmm.
I've taught massage, and I've been licensed for over 20 years. But a lot of the work that I do with my clients, each one of them, there is a very specific approach. No one comes in and is looked at, specifically with I don't really do a routine.
Right. It's individualized.
Everything is individualized. So like you said, blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
I really look at, I sit down and we're doing a 20 to 30 minute analysis and breaking things down and figuring out what needs to be done to really customize that approach.
Nice. Amazing. And I think that it's so important. I mean, that's what, in this world of functional medicine, functional nutrition, holistic health, whatever you want to call it, we can give it all of these names. There's so many different modalities in it, but it is about individualized care. And I think that that's something that anybody who's watching who sees someone who just says, who's not treating you as an individual, who doesn't ask you questions, who just says, switches you off and says, hey, here's some medications, take those and see what happens. That's when you say, okay, I need to look outside of what I'm getting, because we all deserve to have individualized care. We all deserve for practitioners, whoever and whatever you practice, to look at you as someone with your needs that are different than anybody else's needs. Even if your cluster of symptoms might be the same as somebody else's, doesn't mean that it's the same thing. And it doesn't mean that you should be treated the same way as somebody else, because you have your own history, your own genetics, your own traumas, your own lifestyle, right? So these are things that all have to be taken into consideration, no matter what it is that you're trying to deal with, right? So individualized care is super, super important.
The big thing also is really inspiration. You have to have a practitioner who's inspired to learn, because they're there to kind of guide you, to support yourself. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to someone who is not inspired, you're not going to go home to be inspired to take care of yourself.
And you can feel it
when
practitioners have lost that inspiration.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, is as a practitioner, always learning, always always loving, being passionate about what you're doing, because that's going to be taught. So even if you're feeling that lackluster, that can happen.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It digest and look at what it is. It's going to bring you back to loving, and what brings you back to what you're going to, because that roadblock, sometimes that's a learning, that's a learning step to kind of build up more. So sometimes that's a clue that you're taking to.
Yeah, totally agree. So find your practitioner or practitioners, we all need multiple, who is there to serve you. That's what we're here for, right? And I think no matter what industry we're in, we're here to serve in some fashion or another. We all have things in missions and things that we're supposed to do. It's a matter of listening and moving forward with whatever that mission is, right? And being excited about it. Find your happy.
I love that.
Find your happy. Life is no fun if you're not happy. I also know that when we don't feel well, it's hard for that to happen.
Yeah.
Right? And so find your people who can help you find your happy and make you feel good, because, I mean, that's, again, you know, I have been through my own junk as far as chronic pain's concerned, and I know that I had to do a lot of searching to find my happy. And so that's what's brought me here, right? We all have our stories and our history about how we get to where we are. But that's, you know, I take it because it's good. It's good that it happened, because it was a huge lesson.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So the things that you do so many things, but what I want to talk a little bit about is, I guess my question is, you know, so I know visceral manipulation, we'll talk a little bit about that, but is that the same as abdominal massage?
It is abdominal, yeah. So
okay.
It is abdominal massage. It's on a different approach. And a lot of the times when we hear of abdominal massage, we think of Maya abdominal massage.
Okay.
So there is a difference. I have a cold.
It's okay, I know, I get it. There are a lot of colds going around.
But really, what we're looking at is physically, I'm massaging, but before you get on that table, there's that process.
Okay.
And that intake process of, again, sitting down, getting information from you. Where are you holding, you know, our muscles tell us a story, and if we're stressed, we're locking those muscles up. And because that's your life source, right? You're in traditional Chinese medicine, which is what I do. That's actually the difference of Maya. Maya's based in Peru. Abdominal Blue massage is more working with traditional Chinese medicine and working with your Tantien. So that's
with your what?
Your
Tantien.
Tantien.
So fancy. I've not heard that term before. I love it.
So the Tantien is your life source. It's the source of life, right? It's the area where your belly button is, as we call, where your umbilical cord lives, right? And so that's where that connected you to your life source in utero before you even came earthside. And then it's the first one that is cut that essentially makes you earth, you know, makes you human. Now makes you into being here. Your own human. Your own human.
Instead of connected to another human. Yeah.
And so to discount that doesn't, when we're stressed, we're holding our energy in the center. So we can be locking our stomachs. A lot of people, when they're stressed out, they get what's called, you know, there's kind of like those twisted or knots in your stomach. So what the womb massage is, going back to your intake, we're sitting down, we're getting information based on what you're telling me, and that's your intake form, and then getting information from that to see, are you connected? Are you feeling that? And then am I working, when you're on the table, am I feeling tension here? Am I working on acupressure points that are feeling hollow? Are they feeling full? Are they, what is the quality of those? And how am I going to bring, if you need that connection, how am I going to reconnect you back to that life source and back to that energy center? How is that going to happen? And what needs to be done to get there? Do I just need to do some deep abdominal massage? And it is more, a lot of times with castor oil that I'm working on.
Okay.
Am I manipulating the points? So there's 3 points that I work on specifically. I'm like, wait, very intuitive. Am I just working on those points? Do I need to add some heat? Do I need to add infrared? How do I need to build on those points for you? Like, what support do you need within those to get more circulation, to reduce stress? If it's an area where you're feeling knots, then that's your center of where that circulation is twisting up when you're stressed out. So doing deeper tissue massage is going to increase the circulation. That's going to help to reduce your stress throughout your body. However, sometimes that stress and that inflammation can actually go into headaches and can go into other parts of your body. So sometimes it might need a little bit more than just working here. So it's really a lot of reading also.
Okay, so interesting. So I have a thought, and I hope that it's sort of a thought / question, and I hope that I can say it clearly enough. Because, you know, what we know and what we talk about a lot, right, is we've got the gut and the brain are connected. And they're connected via the vagus nerve. And so my assumption is when you're doing the abdominal massage and or visceral manipulation, that is also impacting the vagus nerve, which is impacting brain health and brain function and gut function, period. You know, the ability to digest your food properly and utilize your nutrients properly, right?
Right.
Yeah.
In the uterus, right, in traditional Chinese medicine, the uterus is not necessarily an organ, but is connected to, we have channels, right? So the flow of your channels is where if there's a dysfunction and there isn't flowing, or one of the channels isn't flowing, then we'll start to have symptoms or diseases. Those are things. Those are telling us that there isn't a proper flow. So
listen to your body.
Yes. Yes, listen to your body. And if you're write that down, journal. But getting to your question in a super long way. Yes, that that channel that's going to your uterus is providing that flow, that chi to your stomach, your spleen, your kidneys, and also your liver, as well as your heart. It's your heart, and in turn, that circulation is feeding your brain. Isn't necessarily a channel, but it does feed the circulation that goes to that brain.
Okay. Yep. Totally.
So yes, all of that is related. So
yeah. So I think when I think about this, and part of my thought is, you know, I want to make sure that we address this too, because I think there are a lot of people who don't realize this, that when they have surgeries, abdominal surgeries, that I was in surgical devices for a while, so I sold surgical devices into the OR, and so it was a lot of there was some bariatric surgeries, but most of it was GYN surgeries. So it was women, you know, we're looking at, is there endometriosis, or, you know, all of these different things that are going on for, you know, kind of fact finding, you know, with the devices that we used. And so what we would see a lot are adhesions. And so I think women don't realize a lot of the time when they are not feeling well here in the gut area, you know, they either had a surgery or, well, probably most of the time they had a surgery, because it's the blood, right? It's the blood that creates the scar tissue, which is attaching to everything in there. And you can have all of these adhesions that don't allow you to move properly. And so it's terribly uncomfortable. But I think a lot of women don't realize that that's what it is. And so what you do, and so that can also interfere with fertility. Right. Yes? Yeah. Because it can attach to ovaries, and to the uterus, and to the bowels, and to the lining of the stomach, or the lining of the abdominal cavity, right? All of these things that just makes things not function well when they're all tight together. Right? I'm not saying this well, but and so what you do can help with that, right? Instead of having to go in and have them all clipped, but which is another surgery.
And when we're looking at work, right? The biggest thing, especially even with intake, the information that I'm getting is, where is your trauma? That's trauma. Cutting any whether it was a slip, fall, cutting, any of that is trauma to your body, whether you mentally have connected to that as trauma and associate that as trauma or not, your body, those cells, they believe that they need to be tight. They need to support you.
They're protecting you.
Yeah. It's protection. And so what we're doing is, and with the protection, it's adding inflammation, so that, and which is a huge, that could be a whole,
yeah.
So inflammation, the adhesions, the tightening up, and the adhesions caused by scar tissue. So that's lack of circulation. So all of that together, what needs to happen then is, and there's a number of things that can be done. So the massage, one, and I work in layers. So probably the first month of doing more, being in that space, allowing your body, allowing me to work in deep tissue with that space, teaching you as a client how to massage and do your own massage at home, which is really important. Then as we progress, castor oil packs for detoxification and elimination of those toxins and of the inflammation. That's going to help to reduce that. And then as that progresses, then we can get into infrared. We could even get into doing some gua sha, teaching you how to do the gua sha and do cupping. So we can get in deeper.
So gua sha. Gua sha, what I have in my mind right now, and tell me if this is right, because I'm seeing it everywhere now, I think, is what we're seeing is on the face, right? It's using the stones or using the whatever it is that you use on your face to get rid of wrinkles, which I probably should start doing. I mean, my days are just getting longer, and I'm getting older, and I just had my 51st birthday, so it's thank you. It's sitting on me that is like, wow, that's crazy. Anyway, but that's what it is, right? It's these. I don't even know how it works.
I did not. I wish I had my stone with me.
Yeah,
but it's essentially it's, well, I used obsidian stone, and so you could actually, they're like little stones. And originally in Chinese medicine, they used to use soup spoons, or they used to use coins. Working physically, whether it's your face or whether that's on your back, or on your stomach. First, you're going to work manually here, and you're going to kind of try to see how pliable the muscles are, manipulate them and get them looser and soften them. After that, we then scrape. And that scraping is going to, it's almost a detoxification. So it's going to help to lift up any toxins or any inflammation that's kind of trapped in your muscles that feel happy there when that happens. So you're working on knots, right? Those are areas that just aren't getting circulation. Sometimes it takes a while to get those open. And so, and that's the same thing with those adhesions in your stomach. So sometimes it takes a while to open that circulation, to open those knots. So what we're doing is we're scraping, and then that lifts it up, and you'll start to see what's called sha, or that's the purplish streaks. You'll see those. And that means that it's now lifted up. I then use a cupping just to kind of eliminate that further. So it's more of detoxification. On your face, we need more lymphatic drainage, right? So that's where that's become really popular, but doing that on the face. But yeah, it's originally was used more. It's more of a detoxification process.
So interesting, because I hadn't thought about it that way, but as you were describing it, I was like, this is all lymphatic. Right? So there you go. So the interesting thing about our lymphatic system, just for, and if those of you who are watching, especially on our, the social media platforms, if there are questions that we might be able to ask, feel free to ask a question. I'm working on making this as interactive as I can, in a very slow, comfortable way, because I'm not always very comfortable with some of these things. But the lymphatic system is sort of similar in a sense to our cardiovascular system, right? You've got all of these pathways and passages where lymph moves through, and it's how we get rid of toxins, but it doesn't have a heart. So in order, to make it move like our vascular system does. So what is so important is movement. So we think about our calves when we're walking, our calves are pumping. And so our calves are moving. It's kind of like the heart, right? Moving that lymphatic system. And so if we're not moving the lymphatic system as we should and getting rid of toxins. And I think that, a lot of our issues today is lymphatic stagnation. Yeah. And that's a big part of massage. It's a big part of what I do when I'm working. I have a company who's been a sponsor of mine for a while, but it's Cellcore. Do you know Cellcore?
That is the...
They're a great company.
Yes.
So to back it up just a little bit, we have in functional medicine, functional nutrition, either the 4R, the 3R, the 4R, the 5R, right? And basically it's getting rid of the things that aren't supposed to be there. So is it, toxins, microbes, unhealthy relationships, all of the things. So it's getting rid of things, and then it's replacing, repleting, and repairing, and all of these R's that we have. What's missing in that, though, which Cellcore promotes, and I just have fallen in love with the way that they approach foundational health, right? It is, first you have to open up drainage pathways. Before you remove anything, because microbes release toxins, and if you don't have the ability to eliminate these toxins because you're all stagnant, then what's that going to do? It's going to create more problems. It's going to create more symptoms. It's going to make you really angry, and it's not going to, your body's not going to do the job that it is supposed to do. So understanding that, starting with lymphatic drainage, in multiple manners, right? It can, when I'm talking with my clients about doing this, it's go get a lymphatic massage. And get on your rebounder, right? And my rebounder is under my desk, and so I have a standing desk, and so I'm on my rebounder all the time. But anyway, I don't mean to just sort of take over, but anything you want to add to that, because it just is so, so important.
Yeah, because you, like you were saying, you have to detoxify and not just take in. You can't keep on taking in, because then you're building. And if you're building in more, you're adding more and not releasing. So that you can't be rejuvenated, right? So we have to be able to do that. It's so important.
Do you think that this also can help with emotional health?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I have noticed is, as I help people go through a detox, and then I know that people who have had massages around the liver, or whatever it might be, which is our liver is a major detoxification organ. There's a lot of emotion held in there, and I would imagine, and I don't know this because there's so much of your world that I don't understand, but that even just the lymphatic drainage, all of that gets congested, which means the liver is probably congested, which means there's a lot of emotional junk, emotional stagnation.
In traditional Chinese medicine, the liver, each organ has its own emotion, and your liver is anger. So if there's, there can be anger caused by liver. So to be able to release that, and a lot of the times you're holding in, sometimes if you're holding in that anger, then you start to see people with later on, they start to get sick. So being able to release that is so important.
Yeah. I'll tell people sometimes when we're going through a detox, yes, you can get flu symptoms, you can have some pain, you can have some fatigue, you can have some brain fog, but I tell them, you might get angry. And really what I find more often than not is it's not really anger as much as it's edginess. People get edgy when they are starting this detoxification process. There is, and maybe you know this, do you know Mary Bell's facial and massage? What is that, Ursula? I don't know what that is. So Ursula's a friend of mine, long time friends, and so she's always joining us, which is amazing. But I don't know what Mary Bell's facial massage is, but good abdominal massage and facial massage is always good for the wrinkles and stagnation. Stagnation and the wrinkles. Ooh, I need to work on these. They're making me angry. Anyway, which is my liver. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so what else can we, let's see, I have your notes here, but I didn't do a very good job. There's a lot of stuff that we've talked about already. So let's talk specific, I know, this is something I was going to say a little while ago. Right now we're talking a lot about women, and women, you know, in their preconception planning or their fertility struggles or whatever the case may be, but we also want to make sure, I think we both want to make sure that this isn't only just about women, especially when it's coming to fertility. Men struggle with fertility issues as well. Fertility rates, I can't remember the exact number, so forgive me, but I believe fertility rates in men have dropped, is it 50 or 60% in either 20 or 30 years or something like that? It's an amazing number. And it's really scary. And it's not just fertility, but testosterone levels.
Which is really, if you think about the stress, there's, the stress levels, the things that are being put on skin, all of the things that lead to that, right? So that's really incredible.
It is. It's really scary. You know, I have I think that men need to be men, and they need a lot of testosterone. And we're seeing that, you know, with you know, our endocrine disruptors, right? And so you were talking about what we're putting on our skin. So endocrine disruptors are essentially what's called xenoestrogens and metalloestrogens. They bind to our receptor sites. They're not natural estrogens, and they bind really, really tightly to our estrogen receptor sites in men and women. And it doesn't allow for our natural estrogen, which men also need to a much lesser extent than we need, but it doesn't allow our natural estrogen to do its job. And so endocrine disruptors are, and the things that we're putting on our body, our hair, our deodorant, our lotion, our oil, shaving cream for men, and then consider what you're cleaning your clothes with, consider what you are putting in your yard, what you're cleaning your home with. That's the thing that gets me too. Is I'm cleaning my home, but you're cleaning your home with toxic chemicals. Like, is that really clean? I feel like it's maybe not. I mean, not so much. So taking into consideration all of these things that you're purchasing, and if we start to think about these things and start what is it? It's, you know, it's change anyway. It's changing behavior with your pocketbook is really kind of what I mean. If we stop buying the trash that's killing us and you know, affecting our bodies and creating these massive toxic burdens on us, then they're going to start making the things that are better for us. You know, it's maddening that most of the chemicals that are put in these products aren't even studied.
Isn't there also a website called is it EWR?
EWG.
EWG.
Environmental Working Group, which is an amazing resource. So really good point. You can put in an ingredient, whether it's food or in a body care product, or you can put in a brand. And not all of them. I put in some pretty obscure ones that aren't in there yet, but most of them they'll give you a rating. So, and it'll tell you why that rating's there. And you know, what's carcinogenic and what can, you know, interfere with fertility and you know, all of these things. And these products that claim to be really good and healthy that people use all the time, and I'm going to call one out because they really make me angry. It's Neutrogena. Everybody uses them, and they claim to be super healthy, and they are one of the most toxic products out there. So look them up. You know, don't just trust me. Go to environmental work. It's EWG.com, but it's Environmental Working Group. Do your research, right? That's part of the accountability and part of finding the people who can help you, who maybe already know. So you're not spending a bunch of time, right? I have a bookkeeper because I can't stand bookkeeping. So find the people who are there to help you. But know that marketing works, and it also is it's really been in a lot of ways really damaging and detrimental. Another soapbox.
No, but it's so easy. Like, I think a lot of the times where, you know, taking that home, and sometimes it sounds like such a big thing where you have to get rid of everything in your closet or get rid of everything that you're doing, but it's actually an app that you can go shopping with.
The EWG? Yeah, they do have an app, yeah.
Which makes it so easy because you could just scan and see whether it's good or not. Another thing that you could do is, which is really, is talking about even with that in manual lymphatic drainage, having a loofah scrub and doing dry brushing.
Yes.
Having that, takes about 2 minutes, dry scrub. And you could do that before you take your shower in the morning. That's going, because detoxification, whether that's on your skin, whether that's in your muscles, whether that's with what you're eating, those are things that really is so beneficial to do even years before you're even thinking about getting your body into that optimal, position to be able to conceive or to be able to create life. Is so important. So
agreed. And that's part of, I think, our mission is taking that step back and working to and just, what am I trying to say? Taking a step back and not just saying, okay, it's time to get pregnant, let's just go do it. Which is what happens a lot of the time. And what's happening, a lot of us are struggling because there's so many things that are creating these barriers as far as our health is concerned. And so saying, okay, I'm going to take this time to prepare, to detoxify, to create new habits, to detoxify my home, right? And so you're right where, a lot of people do get overwhelmed to have to do all of these things at one time. I mean, that's ideal. If your home is full of toxicants, you probably want to do it all at one time. Or I'm wondering, if it's really creating a toxic burden, just throw it away. It's not worth keeping it in your home. Some people are like, I bought it though, so I want to finish it. I get the mindset, but do you want to finish a toxic chemical, or do you want to throw it away? So think about it. You do you. I mean, that's what's important, right? You got to do you, and you got to do what you can do, and move through each thing and start to. And the healthier things, when it comes to chemicals, they're things that you can make in your home.
It could be so easy.
I mean, it's so easy and so cheap, and chemicals are not cheap. Well, actually, some of them are really cheap, but they're also toxic. So, but so think about that. Think about just going through. If you need help with that, that's something that I'm trying to do, and I haven't done it yet. But is have these little freebie things that are, okay, these are the things in your home that you need to take out. These are the things in your body care that you need to take out. These are the things in your food that you need to take out. So we can get it out there, and I plan on that being part of Soulful Conception, but as well. But so people just have that list. Let's throw the trash out and stop buying it, so they stop making it.
Because then you're holistically looking at how to take care of yourself. On a whole level.
And your future. This toxic burden passes on. It passes on. And so, hold on. Got a question here. Let's see. Do you recommend consuming a specific oil or other items before and or after the abdominal massage to facilitate the effectiveness?
Very good question. I'm always using olive oil. It's a very basic oil. Castor oil is really what I'm using on abdominal massage. I'm pretty big into Edgar Casey castor oil, but there's other types of castor oil. I would say if you're using it, make sure that it's in a darker bottle. That's also really important. So
oils easily oxidize. Words aren't working for me, but they easily oxidize, which makes them really toxic.
And also we're adding heat. We're doing packs. So that's going into your liver because we're using that to warm it, to warm your womb, and to eliminate also into your liver and help to eliminate So that's a great question. Making sure that the quality and the type of oil that you're using is really important.
Yeah, you can get cheap oil. You can get cheap olive oil.
But you do not,
Oh, it's so bad. You got to be so careful. And it stinks. You know, again, it goes back to, you know, what companies do to make an extra buck, right? And, you know your sources. You can have olive oil that is glass, right?
Yeah.
Because the plastic is going to leach out, and then you've got, you know, plastic. Yeah. It's, yeah. I mean, you could go on and on, right?
Yeah, we could really can. Because you're doing a lot of detoxification and you're increasing that circulation, and we're adding things that are warming. So like all of that, it's super important. Not just the points that we're working on, but the quality of oil that you're using.
Do you use essential oils? I assume you do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're kind of amazing. That's one that I want to know more about. I use them, but all of the medicinal properties and things, they're so cool. I'm like, it's another thing, you know. Like
I a lot of the work that I do, well, not a lot. The work that I do is very immersive, and because I feel like that really helps you to mindscape, and that's a big thing. Because once you're mindscaping and you're taught with, like, you're kind of led into that space and what it feels like to mindscape, it's a happy place.
So mindscape, you just mean like just escaping, just getting away from the now and relaxing and de-stressing, and
that allows me intuitively to work on you, to see where your body now on this other level is kind of taking me, that we need to focus on. And whether we need to work on your back, or whether we need to work on bringing energy down to your feet, whether we need to earth you, or whether we need to kind of draw you up into those heavens, is kind of telling me that information. So intuitively I'm able to read and feel for that. Also in terms of just teaching you that space, where that is, how that feels. Letting go, that's a hard part. And that's in your stomach too, like not wanting to go, like feeling that space enough to be able to let go, because that allows me to work stronger as a massage therapist. And so what that means, mindscaping means, is when you come in, there's starlights in the room. If I could figure out My Little Pony, that would probably get in there. But it's very whimsical. There's starlights, there's galaxies, there's above the table I have chakra lights that are kind of emitting, and they have a lot of purposes. One of my friends who also has that, Michael, he's like, it should be closer, but just kind of immersing yourself and enveloping yourself in those lights is relaxing. The table's heated, so it's cozy. The music, to be able to turn off your brain, and sometimes we have that like monkey brain, and to shut that off, I have almost like trance like soundscapes. Nice. So I'm really big on Buddha bar. So it's not like a piano, you're journeying out. And then essential oils, so your sight, your sound, and what you're smelling. Then with the peppermint, sometimes it has like a nice tingling effect also.
I know. I do, side note, because it's always funny to me, I'll do it in the little beads, right? The essential oil beads, and they always make me sneeze. Every time make me sneeze. Anyway, go ahead, because it's definitely it's I don't know why, but it's kind of fun.
It's kind of fun, like trying that. You're like the senses.
Yep.
Cinnamon, that could be another. I even have Palo Santo, which is kind of cool. Like sometimes if you've gone through something heavy and you need to just kind of remove that, like what you feel like might be like that energy, like that negative energy, to shed that. Palo Santo oil, really great.
Not heard of that.
So that's like something that's my new thing. I of course was not being a massage therapist, lavender. And then all of that together, and then also your massage, which is we're in that happy place fully. And doing that, we're able to reduce the stress. We're able to increase circulation. We're able to regulate hormones. There's so many things that just reducing stress does.
Yeah.
So
It just takes us back to the connectedness of our body, and then the connectedness when you said earthing a little while ago, our connectedness to the earth and then to each other, and how important it is, and though understanding that we're not beings that are in little boxes, heart box and a liver box and a brain box, and it's all super connected, and it's important to understand that, and important to be approached and to approach it that way, because if we don't, then we're in, and it's not always a bad thing, but conventional medicine approaches things as in a box for the most part, right? They have their specialties, and a lot of times that's good, but a lot of times it's not.
Yeah.
And so we need to make sure that whatever's happening, we do our best to understand how it's affecting the rest of the body.
It's so true.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that people know, for one, if there's anything else that we didn't cover that you want to cover, how you can be found. Obviously, everything you do is hands-on. Do you do anything virtually? Can you do anything virtually?
I am starting to do, I just put Amma therapy on by request. Some clients have actually reached out, and it's a very specialized form of traditional Chinese medicine. And so there have been a few people who have specifically requested it. I'm now available to add that if you email me at mossnorththerapy@gmail.com. I can set up time for virtual consults. And the difference of that would be that we're actually, instead of doing the body work, if you're out of state or a bit further away, I could really do the consultation piece. And the consultation piece, we can actually break down and look at your tongue diagnosis, look at even the quality of your, what's called heavenly water, your menstruation. Look at
That's heavenly water.
That's
huh?
heavenly water.
I love that. I wish I'd have known that, 40 years ago.
Heavenly water. Which is actually the same energy, the same chi, right? Prana, chi, as sperm. So we could actually look at those two, and not that but write down the quality, and based on the guidelines of what you're going to be looking for. We could look at foods, so that whether there's cold food or what you're specifically eating, and then really line that up and see what might be something that you might need to work on, whether there's a blood deficiency or whether there's a liver stagnation. So we're able to kind of put that together so that you could take that information and then bring that to a professional like yourself, or a professional to specialize in that information a little bit more in depth.
Love that. Very cool. Good stuff. So thank you. Is there anything else you want to talk about that we missed? Time goes fast.
My practice is in Arvada, and it's Moss North Therapy.
Awesome. Perfect. So Arvada is in Colorado, for those of you who are not in Colorado. So we stream to the entire world, which is cool and crazy. So hello world.
Hello world.
Anyway, I'm super grateful for your knowledge and your sharing, and I can't wait to have you as a partner in Soulful Conception, and all of the amazing people who are going to be a part of this. I'm so stoked about it, and I keep talking about it, and it hasn't happened yet. It's about there. So anyway, you can find me, of course, at tastelifenutrition.com. We're always streaming live here on KUHSdenver.com every Thursday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. You can go to my website, tastelifenutrition.com, and then I'm on social media. Everywhere is Taste Life Nutrition. You can fill out a free assessment that I'll reach out to you personally, and we can chat about it. You can also just fill out the contact. We are doing some changes to the website that will include Soulful Conception and, some it's just going to be better. So working on that over the next week or so. So, but yeah, reach out. You know, my goal always with this show, with the people I bring on, with myself, is to be here to serve, to be a resource, and to help anybody I possibly can to live that amazing life that they were put here to live and to accomplish the goals that they're put here to accomplish. So listen to your body, listen to whoever it is you listen to. I try to listen to God, and go and do and be well and have a lot of freaking fun at the same time. So anyway, thanks everybody. Thanks Ursula as always, and everybody on your Instagram. And yeah, appreciate you all. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.